Nobody wants President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids to being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician, just a stone cold, narrative driven politician. Nobody thinks he's a real human. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you think he's corrupt or not, that's a human being. You know what that guy is. Same thing with RFK Jr. Whether you believe that he's correct about vaccines or whether you believe his policies would be effective, you know that's a human being. With Newsom, you've got like this construct, this cardboard cutout of a person. I don't think people want.
What happens when America's most unfiltered voice goes head-to-head with its most polished politician? You get a political demolition so absolute, it makes a presidential campaign look like a blooper reel. Joe Rogan, the king of long-form conversation, has put California Governor Gavin Newsom in his crosshairs, and the result is a masterclass in exposing political theater. This isn't just a critique, it's a systematic dismantling of a man who many believe has his eyes on the White House. But Rogan is revealing why that ambition might be built on a foundation of pure illusion, a cardboard cutout of leadership propped up by hair gel and focus group talking points. The conflict isn't just political, it's a fundamental clash between the raw, messy truth of the human experience and a perfectly curated but ultimately hollow public image that is starting to crack under the slightest pressure.
When Gavin Newsom talks about California, he's like, you know, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. Hey, they're all moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. It's too expensive to leave versus all the bullshit with all the permits and all that. It's too expensive. Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And like, you're out of your mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined it.
It all began with an escape, a high-profile exodus that served as the opening shot in this war of authenticity. When Joe Rogan packed up his life and moved from Los Angeles to Texas, it wasn't just a change of address. It was a public indictment of the entire California experiment under Newsom. He was fleeing what he described as a paradise actively turning into a cautionary tale, a state buckling under the weight of its own ideological insanity. On his podcast, Rogan painted a vivid picture of a government that had become hostile to its own people, a place where success was punished with crippling taxes and common sense was a forgotten language. He spoke for millions who felt trapped by a death by 1,000 cuts, sky-high taxes funding a bloated and ineffective bureaucracy, baffling regulations that strangled small businesses, and a quality of life in undeniable freefall. He didn't just leave, he torched the bridge on his way out, using his massive platform to explain exactly why the California dream under Gavin Newsom's watch was becoming a waking nightmare. His critique wasn't just about policy, it was about the man at the top, a figure whose slick, airbrushed image seemed to clash violently with the gritty, failing reality on the ground.
Did you see the governor talking about what to do with the land of all these homes that have been burnt down? And he did this little dance, like
some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward.
With a big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. These people lost their homes. A lot of those people don't even have fire insurance because the fire insurance pulled out of California. Like, it's all insanely mismanaged. Like a bizarre, I did enjoy affecting the election.
Dude, imagine. I can imagine.
I did enjoy it because I didn't want to. I did not want to get involved in any way, shape, or form. But it got so weird.
Yeah, you'd express that publicly in the past.
I was like, I don't want to have nothing, and I don't want to have anything to do with it in the future. I didn't want to. I just felt sucked into it. I'm like, like, we can't do this again. We can't do it with these same people that us for 4 years, and then they're gonna we're gonna do it differently now. Like what's going on? Did you see what's going on? Obviously, you've seen what's going on in California, but the governor gave this creepy fucking speech where he was talking about
every political figure has a moment that defines them, a moment that cuts through the spin and reveals their true character. For Gavin Newsom, that moment was a maskless, multi-course dinner at the French Laundry. While he was imposing some of the strictest and most punishing lockdown rules in the entire country, forcing small businesses to shutter, closing schools, and telling families they couldn't gather, Newsom was caught living it up with a table full of powerful lobbyists in a private, semi-enclosed room at one of the world's most expensive and exclusive restaurants. The hypocrisy was so staggering, so profoundly arrogant, that it became an instant cultural touchstone. For Rogan, this was the ultimate rules for thee, but not for me moment. It confirmed every suspicion he had about the political elite, that they believe the rules they create for the masses simply do not apply to their own privileged lives. Newsom's initial, weak apology only made things worse, further exposing a man who seemed more upset about getting caught than about his own stunning lack of judgment. It was a deep crack in his carefully constructed facade, revealing a stunning disconnect from the very people whose lives he was controlling. But if the French Laundry was a crack, what happened next shattered the entire illusion.
You know, when I went there, I had a great relationship with President Xi. We got along very well. And they treated me better than anybody's ever been treated. And I said, this air is good. Do you know they closed every factory 1 week before I got there from within 200 miles?
That's like what Gavin Newsom did when Xi Jinping came to San Francisco.
He cleaned it up.
He cleaned it up. He got rid of all the homeless people.
Isn't it terrible in a way to think, you know, he cleaned it up and then it became a pigsty?
Well, the dumbest thing is he said when your friends come by, when you have visitors, you clean up your house. Like, how about just keep your fucking house clean?
Can you imagine?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody say ever as a governor as to excuse to why you finally cleaned up your homeless problem. You see what Gavin Newsom said to him?
No.
Pull that post up, Jamie. Gavin Newsom said that you shouldn't be posting this. That we're going to make it illegal, and I'm going to sign a law. And he said, Professor suck.
Didn't.
Yes, he did.
Elon said that to Gavin Newsom?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I checked with renowned world authority Professor Sug on D's nuts, and he said parody is legal in America.
When Chinese President Xi Jinping was scheduled to visit San Francisco for a summit, the city's streets, long plagued by rampant homelessness, open-air drug markets, and a level of public filth that had become a national scandal, were suddenly and miraculously scrubbed clean. When questioned about this suspiciously timed transformation, Newsom gave a jaw-dropping excuse on live television. I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up because all these fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true. He even compared it to cleaning your house before company arrives, as if the daily suffering of his constituents was just a messy room he couldn't be bothered with until someone important was coming over. Rogan and his audience were floored. He had just admitted with a smug smile that he had the power and resources to address the city's decay all along, but had simply chosen not to act. The daily degradation of San Francisco was acceptable, but the potential judgment of a foreign dictator was not. For Rogan, this was the smoking gun, irrefutable proof that Newsom's governance is driven entirely by optics and public relations, not by a genuine desire to serve the people who elected him.
What do you make of what Gavin Newsom is doing right now with this podcast? Because I've said I'm against conservatives going on his podcast because I think it's helping him train for 2028.
Yeah,
I don't think we should help him.
I agree completely. I didn't think that. I know, obviously.
He's strong. Gavin Newsom's not strong. He's French Laundry. He's too pretty. He's too needy of like the good opinion of people like Charlie, who I love. But like as a Democrat, you shouldn't be looking for approval from Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk. He's a little too effete. He is smart to start this. And the reason he's smart to start it is because he has no muscles, Emily. None. He's a sinewy little weakling when it comes to arguing any of these issues, especially cultural issues, because he, like all liberals, has never had to do it. So now he's trying to get his training, which is smart on his part, and it would be smart on the part of conservatives to say no, because they declined to help him get in shape before the big bout. We're supposed to be helping Rocky, not Drago.
This pattern of saying one thing while reality screamed another would become a hallmark of his leadership, a constant dance of deflection and denial. In a bizarre moment of political theater, Newsom went on television to attack conservatives for supposedly banning the word Latinx, framing it as a hateful culture war attack from the right. The problem? A video quickly surfaced of Newsom himself, awkwardly and repeatedly forcing the term Latinx into a speech, trying so desperately to signal his progressive credentials that it came off as painfully artificial and condescending, especially since many in the Hispanic community dislike the term. The internet, led by a gleeful Elon Musk who publicly mocked him, had a field day with the cell phone. It was a moment of pure, uncut hypocrisy, exposing a politician so consumed by his own narrative that he attacks others for doing the very thing he did himself. It was a small moment, but it revealed a much larger truth about a man Rogan described as a construct, a political hologram who seems to govern by script, not by conviction.
Manhattan is 14,000 acres. In LA, at least 17,000 acres have been burned to the ground, have been eliminated. I heard somebody saying it looks like Mars. Like it looks like the surface of Mars now, just burned embers. An area bigger than the island of Manhattan. Think of if New York were just eliminated. It looks, forgive me, but it looks like a nuclear bomb hit the region. Just a huge swath of one of our most beautiful cities is gone. She's going. I don't know if she knows that. Gavin Newsom, same. You're effed. Stop telling us about the embers in your hair. It's over for you, my friend. I'm sorry, but your political career ended last week. Again, he's pretending like he doesn't know it. I have to tell you, I don't think Gavin Newsom is the great white hope of the Democratic Party. I really don't. I don't see it happening. Am I wrong? I realize he's got the widow's peak. That's in his favor. He's got the gravelly voice. I don't think I thought Bashir could do it because he's a blue governor in a red state, Kentucky. But the more I listen to him, the more I'm like, he can't do it. He seems pathetic and weak. I'm sorry.
While Newsom was busy with his public relations tour, California itself was visibly crumbling. Rogan relentlessly pointed to the glaring, undeniable evidence. The mass exodus became a flood, with hundreds of thousands of residents and iconic companies like Oracle, Hewlett-Packard, and Tesla's headquarters fleeing the state. U-Haul prices to leave California skyrocketed while they were practically giving trucks away to anyone moving in. Rogan also highlighted the rampant crime waves, directly linking them to policies like Proposition 47, which Newsom supported. This law downgraded numerous felonies to misdemeanors, effectively decriminalizing thefts under $950 and leading to the viral smash and grab phenomenon. Stores like Walgreens closed locations across San Francisco, citing organized retail theft that the state seemed unwilling or unable to stop. To Rogan, it was a state that had chosen to incentivize lawlessness and had lost all sense of deterrence.
Here's what he found put together after Newsom was out there claiming, never.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
That's so fun. Gavin, a simple Google search about yourself will serve you well before you make these sweeping claims. But on the same dishonest, disingenuous front, he tried to act like he's the reasonable one on the trans and the children issue. Ellie.
The policy failures didn't stop there. Rogan frequently skewered Newsom's green agenda as a perfect example of virtue signaling over practical reality. Newsom championed a ban on the sale of new gas-powered cars while the state's ancient power grid could barely handle demand on a hot summer day, forcing the government to issue emergency alerts begging residents not to charge the very electric vehicles they were being forced to buy. He signed a law banning gas-powered lawn equipment, a trivial gesture, while catastrophic wildfires fueled by decades of forest mismanagement were burning down areas larger than entire cities. The juxtaposition was staggering and for Rogan perfectly illustrated a leadership style focused on symbolic gestures while ignoring existential crises. The state's infamous high-speed rail project, a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle that has produced little more than a concrete scar across farmland, became another one of Rogan's favorite examples of government incompetence on an epic scale. With California facing this onslaught of problems, many began to wonder what Newsom's endgame was. The answer would prove more ambitious and perhaps more delusional than anyone imagined. Speculation about a 2028 presidential run began to swirl, and Newsom's actions started to look less like governing and more like a national audition. He engaged in a high-profile debate with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and launched a new podcast, clearly trying to build a national profile beyond his failing state. Rogan and other commentators immediately saw this for what it was, a training camp. This was a politician from the deep blue bubble of California trying to get in shape for the big leagues. But the debate against DeSantis became a critical test, and in the eyes of many, he failed spectacularly. Newsom came armed with binders of cherry-picked statistics and rehearsed talking points, but repeatedly dodged direct questions, particularly about the exodus from his state. He seemed to short-circuit when confronted with facts that didn't fit his narrative. For Rogan's audience, this was confirmation of everything they suspected, that beneath the polished veneer there was no substance. In the end, Joe Rogan's relentless critique of Gavin Newsom is about more than just one politician. It's a battle for authenticity in an age of performance. Rogan sees in Newsom the embodiment of everything wrong with the modern political class, a perfectly polished exterior hiding a hollow core, a leader who recites focus group lines about building bridges while the foundations of his own state are collapsing. He's not just roasting a governor, he's sounding an alarm about a brand of leadership that prioritizes image over everything else. As Newsom continues to polish his resume for the national stage, Rogan's voice acts as a constant, nagging reminder of the chaos, hypocrisy, and policy disasters he's leaving behind. The question that remains is a chilling one. Is this takedown just a personal vendetta, or is it a vital warning about a political future where a slick presentation and the right buzzwords delivered with that same stiff Zoolander smirk are enough to mask a catastrophic failure of leadership?